Which job is a lot less fun than most people expect? I'm a forensic scientist and it's literally the only thing people ask me about on dating apps. It's very technical work and it's extremely routine. Park ranger. Don't get me wrong. I loved it, but a lot of days it was less. Talk about cool animals while wearing your ranger hat. And more. The toilets are overflowing again. Go clean the septic tank filter and stir the tank with a shovel. With a little bit of, hey, there's a methed out guy down by the bridge, can you convince him to leave without killing anyone? All for the low price of $26,000 per year with a college degree. Edit so more people will see this. I hate the idea that this comment might dissuade anybody from becoming a park ranger. These jobs are so varied. And I just happened to work for an underfunded agency with too few staff. Honestly, I still loved this job and would have kept doing it forever if a higher paying outdoor environmental job hadn't pretty much fallen into my lap. Being a park ranger taught me so much, and most importantly, I got trained as a wildland firefighter, which is still my favorite part of my job. If you've always dreamed of being a park ranger, please go for it. Barnes & Noble. Your job has literally nothing to do with books and it obviously attracts a lot of that type. Myself included. I do closed captioning. While I joke that yes, I get paid to watch TV, it's actually very tedious, and if you don't actually enjoy the programming you're being forced to watch something you don't care for. Or worse, if it's something I do enjoy like a long-form drama. We usually chop those up into 15-minute increments and split between everyone so I only see chunks and not always even in order. It actually ruins the show for me. Edit. Wow, for a thread about my job not being fun. Did not expect the response for interested parties. To summarize the questions, anyone who knows proper grammar and spelling can pretty much work the technical side of closed captioning. For live writing you have to be a stenographer, which you need to train for with an associate's degree. If you're looking to do side transcription work, I'd recommend ordering a foot pedal online and looking into freelance sites such as Rev and Upwork. Working in a flower shop. It's just like any other retail job. But people constantly tell you how fun your job must be. Also, helping grieving families choose funeral flowers is not fun. I'm a marine biologist. I spent the last week measuring defrosted fish heads. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't know if people usually think of that career as fun. But I think people think it's a lot more. Eureka. And a lot less. This data has to be manually processed for 600 hours before I can analyze it. Not a specific job but traveling for work. I'm in tech and a lot of people starting out talk about wanting to go to customer sites and get out in the field. I love to travel for fun, but it's hard to fit in the fun stuff when you have presentations and stuff to worry about, and a lot of times your customers aren't in the fun cities anyway. I also think I prefer the stability and day-to-day schedule of traveling less frequently. A pediatric nurse. Being a nurse for children and adolescents. Everyone in nursing school talks about how much they want to work with kids. The reality is that a pediatric nurse sees more cases of abuse and neglect than any other specialty. Doesn't matter where you are in a pediatric hospital. It's the thing you see most. I've seen so many DCS. Department of Child Services. Caseworkers that I've gotten to know some of them and became acquaintances with them. Sure, working with children and adolescents is great. But people don't think about the most essential piece of that puzzle, which is their families. It doesn't matter how good of care you give to those kids. If you don't loop the parents into that care, you may as well just not be doing anything for them. Oh my gosh. Build-A-Bear. Weirdest and most frustrating thing. Granted, I didn't make it a super long time in the job and seeing kids so happy is great. But they are really strict and the bad times get pretty bad. Video editor. The more I do it, the more I can't be arsed. Although not necessarily bad. Beekeeping. Get used to the constant sound of buzzing during hive inspections, swarm removals, plus wearing the protective suit in hot-ass weather for hours on end. Give or take the situation. Also, there appears to be a large number of beekeepers allergic to bees, so EpiPens are a must. Professional photographer. Not like hobbyist, but business-owning photographer. Sucks the love right out of your work. Because you started the business to take pictures. Then Karen doesn't like the way she looks in one of them, so she wants the whole set for free plus a reshoot for free plus those images for free. Then the two high school kids getting into a very ill-advised marriage at exactly 18 years old wants to book you for their wedding, but their budget is only $50. Then Karen calls back because she loves your work and wants to pay for another shoot. But only if you agree to do her friend's daughter's destination wedding for free. Then you get a call from your last bride. It's been 2 weeks since their wedding. Where the fuck are her pictures? Then you get no leads from a bridal expo. Then a client finds out you don't support their candidate and tries to take you to court to get her money back. Then some Insta thought who thinks she's influencing people offers a collab, where you take pro photos of her and she adds shitty Insta filters to it and claims her friend took them, and she's not gonna pay. And then you get some entitled mom who wants you to photograph every day of her newborn's first year of life for $100. I went back to being a hobbyist. I always say the more fun it is to go somewhere, the worse it is to work there, like amusement parks and arcades. Video game testing. I've been working in the game industry for 6 years now. And teaching for 2. Testing video games is thought to be just, oh, you just play games all day? LOLOLOLOL. But it's actually very specific and arduous. First of all, there are a bunch of testing methodologies such as load, soak testing, white room testing, version testing, to name a few. But the most common one is functionality testing. Functionality testing is, so if I walk into that corner with the shotgun in my inventory, I can clip through the wall. But if I have my M16 in my inventory, I don't clip through. Baker. Coming into work at 3/4 am so you can have a 6 am baked goods is miserable. Demolition. Everyone wants to break shit with a sledgehammer. Everyone is tired of lifting that sledgehammer by 5 swings. Nobody wants to load the broken stuff into bags or a wheelbarrow and take it to the dumpster. Paleontologist. You don't get to work with full dinosaur skeletons and do all kinds of awesome expeditions. You're mostly sitting at a desk looking at some pictures and logging stuff on your computer. Maybe examining a fossil occasionally. If you're lucky, you can go on a real dig. And OMG, spend hours in the hot sun dusting off rocks. Being an extra in a movie. Now, it can be super fun. I especially love historical and post-apocalyptic, sci-fi, fantasy type stuff. But a typical day on set wasn't what I thought it'd be when I started doing it. Often we have to get up at 3 or 4 in the morning to get to holding. And if you're a minute late to check in, sometimes they'll kick you out. Then we sit around in holding with sometimes hundreds of other extras. And we're usually sitting there for a good 3 or 4 hours before they start telling us to get ready to film. During this time we go through long wardrobe, hair and makeup lines where they reuse clothes. Unless you bring them yourself. Brushes and makeup without washing them. When we finally get to film, it's often the same mundane motions over and over. Exceptions of course, and those are always fun. Then we either get shuffled around or go back to holding. Several more hours pass. We go film again. Hungry. You get lunch 6 hours after your call time. And a usually meager supply of snacks. In between takes it's more standing around, often in heat or rain, or we all get shuffled into cramped spaces to wait. Days on set are often more than 12 hours. And I know someone who had to be on set for 26 hours straight. They can legally hold you there until they declared filming is done, so don't make plans for the next day. Not to mention that you rarely see yourself in the final cut. I'm not trying to bash other background actors or the film industry, because I've met lots of awesome people and gotten to do some pretty cool things. For example, interacting with main actors in scenes. Running around in the woods with fake guns or being a zombie. But when I did my first job as a teen, I definitely thought it would be a lot different. ETA. Like others mentioned, I'm not part of the SAG union. And extras who are do indeed get treated better, more perks. Also, it may be different in Hollywood. I've only worked in Georgia. I've also been a stand-in. And I like that a lot better because you're treated as the crew rather than, well, as extra. Acting. All the ones we see on TV and movies are the 0.0001% of incredibly lucky and talented people who manage to thrive in a hostile and overcrowded industry. And even when you are working, the actual job itself is 99% sitting on apple crate in hot makeup waiting for some grips to move a lighting fixture. Then you say 3 lines over and over again for an hour. And then you wrap. Flight attendant. 1. You are on call, on reserve, forever, have a terrible schedule, have no life, and make no money for 5 to 10 years. 2. While you work for peanuts, you can't afford to use your flight benefits in any substantial way. 3. Then, when you finally get a chance to use your benefits for a trip, you have to fly standby, which means you aren't guaranteed to get on the flight you want. 4. Then, if you do make it out of town, you better have like a week off so you can make damn sure you're back in your base city in time for your next work shift. 5. Did I mention there is an act of US legislation? Railway Labor Act. that allows airlines to exploit so you don't get paid for certain work hours that you actually need to be working. For example, FAs don't get paid for boarding, or any time the plane is at the gate. Worst job ever. Edit. Typos and clarity.